Hello and welcome. Welcome to Everything is Energy and welcome to what is a really, I believe, special transit. Chiron entering into Taurus. And I really wanted to spend some dedicated time exploring this transit. It might not receive the same attention as, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus changing signs, but I believe it's every bit as meaningful. And if you've paid attention, not that you need to any of my work before, all the outer planets have recently changed signs within the last 6 or so months. And it's been a process that's been afoot for about a year, and it's going to be something that is going to affect us for generations and generations and generations. And it's something that we haven't seen before with all the outer planets changing signs. And while Chiron isn't necessarily an outer planet, I'll get to that in a minute. It's every bit as kind of rare and part of this unique moment that we're in. And so first it's worth noting that Chiron, this is taking place on June 19th, 2026. Chiron is leaving Aries and entering into Taurus. And, Chiron has actually been traveling through Aries since 2018. For nearly 8 years, we've been working on this collective healing journey around Aries themes of identity, courage, sovereignty, autonomy. And now that story is going to begin to change as Chiron is shifting into Aries this week. So, the question of who am I is becoming more, can I feel grounded? Can I feel present being who I am? And so let's start with Chiron. Chiron astronomically is neither a traditional planet nor is it a typical asteroid. Chiron was discovered in 1977 and it belongs to a class of celestial bodies known as centaurs. And Chiron's orbit sits somewhere between Saturn and Uranus. And this is just it's interesting symbolically because, if we think about the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the transpersonal planets, which is like when they change signs, it's a generational shift. Saturn and Jupiter, no, back up. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are the generational planets. When they change signs, it's generational. Jupiter and Saturn are transpersonal planets. All the other planets inward are personal planets. So Chiron's sitting kind of as a transpersonal planet. But when we think about it sitting between Saturn and Uranus, Saturn is about structure and responsibility and this reality principle. Saturn wants us to really exist in the 3D world. And Uranus is the lightning bolt of change. Uranus reminds us that we are the change that we seek. We are the high technology we seek. Uranus is about awakening and liberation and disruption and breakthrough. And Chiron literally travels between those two worlds. So in astrology, Chiron often represents a bridge between pain and wisdom. And I want to just kind of touch on a little bit of the myth of Chiron, because if you've heard of Chiron, the wounded healer archetype is often one of the little snippets that you might hear. And while it might reveal the wound, it simultaneously shows us where we have innate wisdom or even earned wisdom that we can use to guide and heal others. So in Greek mythology, Chiron was a centaur and he was known for wisdom and kindness, but he was born to a nymph. Her name was Philaria, and he was also the son of the god Cronus. But because Cronus shapeshifted into a horse to mate with Philaria, Chiron was born as a centaur. And because he was disgusting looking or something like this, his mother abandoned him. So he was abandoned as a kid, and he also had this incurable wound. He was adopted by Apollo, and he became this brilliant teacher and herbalist and physician. And during a battle, somewhat tragically, he was accidentally struck in the leg by a poison arrow from one of his own students, Hercules. But because Chiron was immortal, this poison arrow wouldn't kill him. So it left him in this perpetual wounded state that he could not cure. And some say part of the story is he was moving through life, continued to develop his repertoire of healing remedies to try to cure himself. But he was known as this person who refused to allow his own suffering to make him bitter. He continued to serve and, to really expand human consciousness. So I just kind of wanted to spend some time on that to let us know that it's not just about our wound. It's not just about having our buttons pushed. It's about a healing journey, and it's about finding deeper wisdom, and it's about finding healing modalities. And I think this is such an exciting time for Chiron to be entering into Taurus because there's a lot of awareness, I think, of us, our human bodies being so powerful and able to heal themselves, and the natural world and the resources that come from the plant kingdom to support us in those types of journeys. But, Chiron ultimately reminds us that healing is not about being wound free, it's about being whole. So that's the overarching theme of Chiron that I'll weave in to what it means that it's going into Taurus in a moment. But I also want to talk about Chiron's orbit astronomically, because I want to say that it deserves some attention precisely because of it moves differently. It takes approximately 50 years to orbit the sun, but because the orbit is highly elliptical, it's not a circle, it's an ellipse. It spends dramatically different times in different zodiac signs. For some signs, it's only for a year and a half, but for Aries is one of those longer chapters. Aries is one of those 8-year chapters. Taurus is another significant chapter. Taurus, Chiron's going to be in Taurus for approximately 6 to 7 years. So this isn't just Mercury moving into a new sign. This is a significant transpersonal transit. And I would offer that it's defining an era of healing. And so, if we think about Chiron as the centaur who's the teacher, the healer, the philosopher, and we know from that myth that he trained heroes, Hercules was one of his students. We know that he taught medicine. We know that he understood the healing arts. But we also know that he couldn't heal himself. But over time, it's like the place where the bone breaks becomes the strongest point, because the the need for healing became the source of his profound wisdom. So it's this idea that sometimes some of the challenges that we may move through personally and collectively, because this is transpersonal transit. Oftentimes Chiron's spoken about and interpreted, and very much should be in a birth chart, about a personal wound. But because where Chiron sits in its orbit, it's also about collective consciousness. So I want to look back on Chiron and Aries next, because I want to kind of shine a light on what journey we're leaving behind as we bring our awareness to the fact that this shift is happening. So I mentioned at the top of the podcast that Chiron entered Aries in 2018. And we also know that Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. It's a beginning sign. And Aries really, invites these types of questions of who am I? What do I desire? Also, can I act? Can I begin? Can I trust myself? So, during these years, 2018 to mid 2026, there might have been collective questions around identity, around selfhood, and that might have been themes of personal autonomy, personal sovereignty, or just freedom and agency and self-definition. So, if we think about that, some of those themes have absolutely dominated public discourse and personal development. And maybe, a lot of folks discovered parts of themselves that they could no longer suppress. Maybe and other people, just some roles may have simply sloughed off or fallen away. And in many senses, maybe an old, outdated way of moving around the world came to feel more like a mask than an identity. So, we might have been really moving through themes of what if I stopped performing for others? And that's Chiron and Aries work. So one of the things I like to look at when we have these larger transits of outer planets is what was going on the last time this happened. So Chiron was in Aries. The last time that this happened was 1968 through 1977. So let's think about what was happening during that time. That was, the late 60s and 1970s brought enormous movements centered around precisely these themes, identity and selfhood. We had civil rights activism, we had women's liberation, we had indigenous rights movements, we even had LGBTQ visibility and anti-war activism and cultural revolution. So, and individuals and groups back in that time were demanding recognition, and people were really claiming the right to define themselves. So the collective question was, who gets to be seen? Who gets to exist fully as themselves? And these mirrors and themes we've seen emerging again since 2018 into 2026. So now, as Chiron's moving into Taurus, the story's changing because Taurus is not primarily and only concerned with identity. Taurus is about comfort and resources and survival. And Taurus is also about feeling good in that process and seeking stability, seeking pleasure, seeking connection to the earth. So Taurus, the questions that Taurus asks are really about, what sustains life? And Taurus, it's not a materialistic sign, but it really is a sign of values. What do I value? And what is enough? What creates stability? And even how do I inhabit my body? And so I would offer, if we're thinking about just tapping into this kind of subtle, not so subtle shift, excuse me, where Aries would seek freedom, Taurus is seeking stability and security. And where Aries is going to take initiative, Taurus is going to want to stabilize. And where Aries is going to fight, fight, fight for something, Taurus is going to cultivate it. Taurus is going to put the seed in the ground. Taurus is also about working, growing food and growing medicine, and absolutely about working with the soil. So if we put this into context, and again, go back to the last Chiron in Taurus cycle, that was 1977 through 1983. So let's notice the shift. The cultural revolutions of the 60s and 70s had already occurred. And now society was facing different questions. And those questions might have been about, how do we sustain what's been created? How do we manage resources? How do we create economic stability? And how do we rebuild after disruption? So during this period, we saw significant inflation concerns. We saw energy crises. We saw conversations about resources. We also saw changing relationships with land and food and plants in general. But, as I would even say, an increasing attention to environmental stewardship and awareness that the earth was something that was alive. And we also saw growth to get to the plant kingdom part of it and plant medicine part of it. We saw growth in holistic health movements and expansion of natural healing practices. And I'm going to say, history never repeats itself exactly. I feel like that it often rhymes. Just as I was talking about the transits with Pluto and Neptune and Uranus and how it's activating, all the big three, the World War II and the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. We're not going through that per se right now, but the rhyme and the ringtone is there, right? So here it's not going to be the same thing because collective consciousness is also ascending. So I would offer that we have the opportunity to upgrade on what was going on back the last time, 77 to 83. So I also kind of want to touch on this notion of the body because Chiron and Taurus and the body, this is a really cool theme. Um, and it's about embodiment. And, there's the possibility that for years, part of us collectively as a whole, or part of ourselves individually, have been really living in the mind. And if we think about our relationship with technology, constant simulation, constant information, constant acceleration. Taurus is this cool transit right now because Taurus is reminding us that healing happens in the body, healing happens in the now, healing happens through presence. And also, it happens through relationship with the earth and with the things that are of the earth. And it's worth noting that the nervous system here can be a good thing to focus on because there's the opportunity for healing themes around exhaustion and burnout, and really setting themes for nourishment and rest. So those themes are all likely to become increasingly important, or there'll be a buzz or a hum around some of those themes. But I also want to talk about not just embodiment in the body, but Taurus is about self-worth, and Chiron and Taurus is absolutely about self-worth because Taurus is associated with value, and it's not just financial value, it's personal value. It's about resources, but it's also about feeling joy and feeling pleasure with those resources, and it's absolutely about self-worth. So you know, there's likely going to be a collective and personal discovery of any wounds that we have around scarcity, around receiving, worthiness, abundance, being deserving, and feeling secure. And so this transit, it may expose places where we might have confused productivity and charging ahead with worthiness, or where we've built our sense of security on a foundation that is no longer stable. And so this transit is also going to invite us to open up our lens of abundance and interconnectedness, because this notion of scarcity can often come from, if we're too much in our I am self, then we might not realize that there's all these other resources and beings that are there for us and connected to us. So I don't mean this to say that, like, crises. I mean this to kind of be like, some of these themes, Chiron's themes are absolutely nourishing. So this isn't about a doomsday. This is just really about some things that we might be working through. And I want to touch on, I'm a little biased here, but I think that there are many astrologers that would agree with me. If you know me, I love my plants and my herbs and my plant kingdom. But you know, Chiron and Taurus is absolutely going to be an opportunity for us to upgrade our understanding of herbal wisdom. And, as I mentioned personally, this is where I become really interested in this transit. But Taurus is an earth sign, and Taurus invites us back into relationship with living systems. And Taurus isn't, Taurus is fixed feminine earth. So the fixed energy is going to be one of the reasons why Taurus is going to want to feel secure. But Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this is absolutely about love and beauty and comfort and the wonderful things of the world and the highest expression of them. But, as Taurus is an earth sign and it's inviting us back into this relationship with this very much alive planet that we live on, then those themes of gardens and food and plants and seasons and our body and even just the land beneath our feet. And so I would not be surprised if we see a growing interest in the next several years in herbal medicine and in regenerative agriculture. And if you know my work, you know that I've been interested in that stuff for a while, but I feel like this is a really nice added cosmic activation here. And some other themes that go along with that are local community and food sovereignty, seasonal living, nervous system healing. And I want to say that because this isn't just a social media trend, this is an astrological transit, and those are very different things. So this is about these things as necessities, these things as medicine, these things as not just we got to jump on the wave because it's happening. It's going to come from inside. So there's one final piece worth noting here, and that is, you know, as Chiron is entering into Taurus, Uranus just left Taurus. And this to me feels symbolic because I started at the top of this podcast to speak about how, on one hand, this transit with Chiron is absolutely a part of this. All the outer planets are changing signs, right? And so earlier this year, April, Uranus left Taurus and moved into Gemini. But until April, which was just a month and a half ago when that happened, Uranus had spent years in Taurus disrupting Taurus themes. And what are the themes that Uranus was disrupting? Money, economics, resources, food systems, personal values. So now Chiron's arriving in Taurus. And it's almost as though, you know, it's perfect because Uranus in Taurus had revealed any instabilities. Taurus does seek stability. Uranus and Taurus aren't good bedfellows per se, but like Uranus disrupts whatever it's in. And so now Chiron is asking, how can we heal our relationship with these things? Because Chiron is the wounded healer who's in it to win it, and it's not about the ego and it's not about the self. It's about serving others and serving the collective. So how can we create something more sustainable? And so I guess I just want to close that, maybe Chiron and Aries taught us how to become ourselves. And maybe Chiron and Taurus will teach us how to sustain ourselves. And I also want to say that maybe the next several years are not asking us to become extraordinary. They're asking us to become more rooted. If only because the word extraordinary in my mind feels a little bit more ego-centered or performative. And what we're doing right now with Taurus being ruled by Venus is absolutely a heart-centered thing. Venus is in Leo as well. So if Chiron and Taurus is asking us to be more rooted and embodied and nourished, also, more connected to what is real and more connected to the earth herself and our own value, as well as what truly sustains life. And I love this so much because if you know me, you know that one of the reasons why I love practicing herbalism and growing herbs up here is that I have come to understand that plants are our medicine and working with them as our medicine. So before I go, I'm going to put a link if you want to join me. I've just yesterday completed the first of two free gatherings, Herbs for the Seasons, and it's a link between astrology and the practice of herbalism, and in a way that is meant to be instructive and supportive and inviting you to integrate herbs into your life and to understand how easy it is to make a decoction or an herbal tea, and it's not something that you have to go all the way out there to do. And while I've spent the last couple of years of my life in depth studying this so I can feel qualified to teach this type of stuff, I feel like if I've learned anything, that this is our grandma's wisdom. So if you have any interest in the Herbs for the Seasons offering, make sure you're on my email list because that's where I'm going to send the recording from yesterday's gathering, and I'm going to get the invite for the full moon gathering. Yeah, so with that, I feel like I'm going to go ahead and shift gears right now, and we will get to a meditation. So, so as we're coming to the close of this exploration with Taurus, let's just kind of settle into a comfortable position. And maybe you're seated with your feet on the floor. Maybe you're lying down. Take a moment to close your eyes and feel that your spine is straight. And whether you are inside or outside, connect to the presence of the earth beneath you. And take a slow inhale through your nose. And as you breathe in, imagine that you're calling your attention and your awareness here and now. And as you exhale, release that breath through the mouth. Take your time. Breathing in again, just inviting and allowing yourself to arrive fully in this moment. And a nice, slow, longer exhale out through the mouth. One more time, just a nice, slower inhalation through the nose. Take your time. Come here and now. And again, a long, unhurried exhale. And you can keep that deeper breath going if you'd like, or you can just let your breath settle into a natural rhythm. But bring your attention to your physical body now. And just from the top of the head down, allow your forehead to relax. Let your eyelids be heavy. Let your jaw relax. Even relax your tongue inside your mouth. Moving down through your neck, relaxing the tops of the shoulders, the outsides of the shoulders, relaxing down through your arms and through your chest. And if there's any tension in your stomach or in your low back, just imagine that you're able to soften that tension. Down into your hips and your thighs and your calves, letting your legs relax and releasing down through the soles of your feet. And as you're fully here and relaxed, see if you can receive that there's nowhere that you need to go, that there's nothing that you need to accomplish, there's nothing you need to fix. So just for these next couple minutes, just simply allow yourself to be here now, present and breathing and alive. And go ahead and bring yourself now to the weight of your body. Bring your awareness to the places where your body meets the chair or the floor or the earth beneath you. And see if you can connect to and receive the support that is already present. Just notice that you're already being held and that you do not absolutely have to hold yourself up alone. And notice that the earth is supporting you, life itself, the sun is supporting you, the moon is supporting you, life itself and all of the cosmos are supporting you. And go ahead and take a breath now. As you breathe in, receive that support. And exhale. And now bring your awareness to either your sit bones or your feet or the back of your body, wherever your body is directly facing down into the soil and start to extend energetic roots down through whatever structure or building if you're inside. And allow those roots to go all the way down directly beneath you into the soil, into the earth. And just start to experience and feel those energetic roots going down and out, deeper and deeper, extending and expanding through layers of earth. Maybe as you're sending your roots down, encountering some stones or water, or maybe even ancient roots, ancient memory. And just allow those roots to extend, at least one of them, all the way downward until they connect to the steady heart of the earth. Maybe you can sense a golden light at her center. And as your roots connect to that space, feel yourself known and seen and nourished. Also feel yourself grounded and held and safe. And as your roots are just settling into the earth, imagine that the earth is, without question, every moment of every day, offering nourishment to you. Not because you're striving, not because you're working really hard, simply through the relationship of you existing on this planet. And as you're experiencing this, there's a gentle current of stability that's rising up through your roots. Maybe some of that golden light from the center of the earth is moving up through your roots as well. And just start to feel how this energy and this nourishment is limitless, and it exists beyond time and space. It doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter how long you concentrate on it. Mother Earth always knows where all of her children are energetically. So just start to draw this current of stability, this light, this nourishment up through your roots, and invite this energy to move into your feet and move up into your legs. And just continue to allow and invite and receive that energy up into your belly, up into your heart, up into your throat and your third eye. And just feel it as this sort of quiet current of nourishment and support. A reminder that you belong here and that you are a part of life itself. And as Chiron enters Taurus, we're all invited to heal our relationship with worth, with value, and with safety, and with receiving. So as you're here receiving this support and nourishment from the earth, just gently ask yourself, what have I been carrying that was never mine to carry alone? Where have I been carrying something that wasn't mine alone? And just allow that question to settle. What have I been carrying that was never mine to carry alone? And just simply listen. And notice what arises without judgment, if it's a thought or a feeling or a memory or even just a quality of energy. even if it's only silence. Whatever appears, whatever manifests is totally good. And now I want to invite us to ask ourselves another question. And this question is, what if I am already worthy of support? What if I am already worthy of support? And just allow that question to sink in and echo gently within you. And the notion here is, what if worthiness is not something that has to be earned? Instead, what if it's something that's inherent? Something that's woven into your existence. Just as a tree doesn't earn its worth, a river doesn't earn its worth, a wildflower doesn't earn its worth. What if your existence is enough? And go ahead and take another slow breath in through your nose and just allow yourself to receive that possibility. What if I'm already worthy of support? What if my existence is enough? And now bring your awareness to your heart center and just imagine a warm golden light or golden flame glowing there at the center of your chest. And allow and invite that light to be gentle and steady. Not bright or overwhelming, but simply just present. As if it's a quiet flame, and this flame represents your life force, your inner value, your essence. Your soul's purpose. And just notice that this flame or this light absolutely does not need anyone else's approval in order to exist. This light within you, it simply shines. It simply is. And just imagine that your consciousness is so powerful that as you're focused here, for every breath that you're focused here, this flame or this light grows steadier, more rooted, more grounded, more nourished, more connected to the wisdom of the earth. And now imagine yourself standing outside in a beautiful natural landscape somewhere. It could be something, a forest, a meadow, a garden, a hillside, whatever comes to mind is perfect. Any place that feels nourishing for you. And as you're standing outside in this beautiful natural space, just spend some time noticing the colors and the sounds, the scents. Notice the temperature, the quality of the air, if there's a soft breeze around you. And I want to suggest that this place that came to mind, this place that you chose that feels nourishing for you, represents the healing path of Chiron and Taurus. And this is a path of simplicity and embodiment. And it's a path of remembering what truly sustains you. Because on every level, you already know, which is why I want you to think about what you thought of, what landscape you thought of. And as you walk through this landscape now, just notice what is being offered to you or what you notice, what catches your attention. Maybe it's a plant or a tree or a stone or an animal or a stream or just some message from the natural world. And just allow whatever appears in your mind's eye to emerge naturally, whatever you notice, and receive it and trust it. And now, as you're here in this natural landscape, just ask yourself, what truly nourishes me? Not what impresses others, not what keeps me busy, not what I have to do. What truly nourishes me? And allow your soul, that light within your chest, to answer. And there's many ways it can answer. It can use words or images or feelings or simply energy. Just spend a few moments here listening. What truly nourishes me? And now take a few moments to imagine yourself living in greater alignment with that nourishment. Imagine choosing what sustains you instead of what distracts you. Imagine trusting the slower, more subtle rhythms of the cosmos, of your body, of the moon, of the earth, of the sun. And also imagine honoring your body and valuing rest and receiving support. And imagine building your life around what is true rather than what is urgent. And just feel yourself right here in this moment, rooted and steady and resourced and whole. And as this experience and this vision just sort of settles into your awareness, I invite you to receive these words or repeat aloud or silently after me. I belong here. Receive that. I belong here. I am supported by life itself. I am supported by life itself. My worth is inherent. Receive that. My worth is inherent. I trust the wisdom of my body. Receive that. Feel that. Do that. Be that. I trust the wisdom of my body. And finally, I release what no longer sustains me and I welcome what nourishes my life. I release what no longer sustains me and I welcome what nourishes my life. And go ahead and take a nice, long, slow breath in through your nose. Release that breath. Take your time through your mouth. Feel the earth beneath you once more. Connect to it. Also feel the support surrounding you everywhere. And feel the quiet strength that is already present within you. So as Chiron brings this or begins this new journey through Taurus. And it brings us to this space where we get to remember that healing doesn't have to arrive through dramatic transformation. Healing can be in a garden or a deep breath or a moment of rest or just a simple return to what is true for you. So during this transit, may you trust what sustains you and may you honor your value. And may the earth remind you again and again that you belong. Go ahead, take one final breath in and exhale slowly. And when you're ready, just gently bring movement back to your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes when you're ready. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for being a part of this global web of light, for the thousands and thousands of people in the hundreds of countries that are collectively choosing to be the light. And as I mentioned, if you have any interest in my herbal offering, Herbs for the Seasons, we just did a section yesterday on herbal preparations and how simple it is to integrate herbs into your life. I'll be teaching a section on elixirs in a couple weeks. And elixirs are a really fun way to easily integrate herbal wisdom into your life. It doesn't have to be that it has to feel like medicine. It can absolutely be something that is fun and beautiful. So just make sure you're on my email list if you have any interest in that. And have a blessed transit. I know we're going to be here together for the next 6 years, but I just wanted to let us know what's coming. Bright blessings. Thank you for being here and so much love.